G'day, Dr. James here with another vet tip, and today I'm talking about how to keep your pets out of the veterinary clinic over Christmas, the 5 most common things that we see coming into the clinic. Number 1, excessively fatty table scraps. So often family members, nice big barbecue, delicious roast, whatever it might be, want to give a few scraps to the dog. But it's too fatty, right? A lot of the stuff we have at Christmas really will upset their gut. So sausages, ham's no good, too salty, too fatty, the skin off the turkey or the chicken, right? Now some dogs will cope with it, but plenty of them are gonna get really nasty vomiting and diarrhea because the fat sets off their pancreas. They get an inflamed pancreas. Technically we call it pancreatitis. Basically it just means a whole bunch of nastiness, and they often have to spend several days at the vet clinic. So no good. Steer clear of the fatty table scraps. Number 2, this is also silly things that dogs and cats will eat, but it's foreign material. So things like toys, packaging. The really nasty one is chicken's kebab skewers. So make sure if you're having kebabs on the barbecue that you're really careful with those. You know, dogs will go bin diving, get them out of a bin, and it's very pointy. So, you know, I've seen these perforate, stab through stomachs and intestines, and dogs need really serious emergency surgery. So kebab skewers, terrible. Also, ribbon and string. This is a big one for cats especially that like to play with it. If they swallow that, their guts have a real hard time passing it, and they can develop what we call a linear foreign body, and that's when the intestines sort of bunch up as they try and pass the string, and it causes an obstruction, so they can't pass anything. They vomit and they can get really bad gut injuries. Most of the time those need surgeries. It's expensive and awful, so steer clear of those things. The other thing to be careful of with dogs is that often just being near the barbecue, all the fat will spit, and it can land on, you know, nearby gravel or bark chips or something like that. Dog comes along, smells all fatty, tastes delicious, so they eat, you know, a couple mouthfuls of gravel, and you're in big trouble. So just be careful with things near the barbecue as well. Number 3 on my list is toxins, things that are poisonous. So there's plenty of that around for cats and dogs at Christmas. We see so much of it at the vet clinic. You know, number 1, public enemy number 1 is chocolate. So dogs, cats, mostly dogs, eating the chocolate. Chocolate's very toxic to dogs, both the cocoa content and also the caffeine. They're both poisonous. So got to be really careful. If your dog eats any of that, give the vet a call. You know, they can sort of calculate a toxic dose based on how much they've had and the dog's weight and a few other things, and let you know how serious it is. But best thing to do, just keep the chocolate out of reach. Other things that cause lots of problems for dogs and cats around this time of year is sultanas and raisins, right? So these can be very, very poisonous to dogs, and you know, they're in lots of things, minced tarts, you know, Christmas pudding, fruit platters where there's grapes. So another thing to just be careful is not being dropped on the floor or left behind where a dog can get to it. Batteries, also dangerous. So lots of little toys for the kids, or, you know, new gadgets. If they've got little batteries in them that a dog or a cat can swallow, they're things to be really cautious of too. So number 4 on the list is not specific to Christmas, but it's specific to this time of the year, especially in Sydney, Australia, where I'm from, and a lot of other coastal parts of Australia. Paralysis ticks. Okay, the ticks are just horrible this time of year. It's very easy to forget to keep your pets up to date with tick prevention, especially with everything else that's going on. And there will be hundreds of dogs and cats that are hospitalized and treated for tick paralysis, which is entirely preventable. So please, please, please make sure your pet's up to date with your tick prevention. Number 5, the final one, easy one to avoid, heat stroke. Okay, so pets that get trapped somewhere where it's very hot, you know, often if they're in the car, you know, especially if you're taking them to visit family members, and they sit too long in the car, or they get trapped somewhere where they can't move out of the sun. Hot weather, especially any dogs with a short face, so you be really cautious if you've got a pug or a French bulldog or anything else. And if it's very hot, also you might want to limit exercise to cooler times of the day. But most important thing is just don't leave them somewhere where they can't get out of the sun. Now for a quick recap, the 5 things we want to avoid this Christmas to keep your pets out of hospital. Number 1, unusual or overly fatty table scraps. Number 2 on that list was foreign objects. So the kebab skewers, the batteries, the toys. Make sure cats and dogs aren't swallowing silly things. Number 3, toxins, chocolate, raisins, sultanas, garlic and onion, all those things. Number 4 was ticks. Make sure your pets are up to date with tick prevention. If you're not sure if ticks are a problem in your area, have a chat to the reception team at your local vet. They'll be able to help you out. And number 5, heat stroke. Keep them somewhere nice and cool. Have a great Chrissy, everybody, and keep your pets safe.